there's a certain mentality that we want to reflect. And I really believe in the city's teams got to reflect the city. And we've got some grit, we've got some toughness. We want to be able to impose our will. We're not going to take really anything from anybody. And we want to make sure that people feel us. We want to be able to run, we want to be able to hit, and we want to play smart. And I think that's a reflection of who we are. Obviously, as a Philadelphia Eagles defense, a reflection of really the history of the Philadelphia Eagles defense, and a reflection of the city, and that's what we want to be. We want to be an encompassing part of that.
Today, Coach Sean Desai spoke with the media for the first time since his hire. We were able to kind of just pick his mind and find out what he wants this defense to be, and honestly, what he said has me hyped, man. I am so ready for this season. I really do believe in this guy, so we're going to talk about what he said.
You want Philly food?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today I want to talk about what Coach Sean Desai said at his first interview or first press conference since being hired. Now, before we get into all that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. We are on the road to 10K. Would love for you guys to join that ride. So let's just hop right into it. So I've been looking forward to this because I wanted to know what his mentality was. We've heard a lot about what his scheme might look like, what he looks for out of players, how he might utilize the players we have, how he might utilize the players coming in. Not a lot of that was spoken about. Unfortunately, I feel like there was some questions left on the table for him. It is what it is, though. But at the end of the day, he did speak about the mentality he had for this defense. And I played the clip early in this, and he said he wants this defense to be felt. He said he wants this defense to portray the grit and the grind of the city. He wants to have some dogs out there, and he wants to fight. He's not going to take any ish. That was a quote that he said that I loved hearing. It sounds like he really wants this to be a bully type defense again. He brought up the defense's history in Philadelphia. He talked about their identity back in the day, and he wanted to bring that back. So he said everything correctly. I really do feel like he just got maybe he went through Twitter, the Eagles Twitter, for the last couple of defensive coordinators we had, and saw what we wanted, saw what we didn't get, and just literally made a script based on that, because everything he said was perfect. I love hearing what I heard. He has that grit in him. He has that just hard-nosed type attitude in him that I think is going to carry over to the defense. Now, he did talk about competition. He talked about how, he does have a lot of good veterans on this team, and he's excited to get the most out of these veterans, but he also did talk about how he's going to want to see guys get pushed. He wants to see these guys get the best out of each other. That means a lot coming, looking at the secondary, looking at, that linebacking core where we got some guys, but we don't know who's going to be the guy, right? Or if we have the guy at those spots. So I think it's very interesting to look in the secondary again. I bring that up again because you have so many of them. So it's nice to know that there's going to be competition. And I said this earlier, on the offensive side, we've always kind of preached that, and Nick Sirianni has been big on that. And Gannon, he played into it. I don't know how much he really played into it or how much he really lived by it, but he didn't have to make too many decisions last year when it came to who goes in, who doesn't. So I think that this year is going to be very important for the Eagles to go ahead and find that competition, find guys for the future, because yes, we have, a James Bradbury, we have a Darius Slay. We feel confident about those guys for this year, the next year, maybe one more, depending on what happens and how, father time, it kind of creeps up on them, but we feel confident with them. But beyond those years, what are we going to do? And I think this is a great time to find that out. You look at the defensive line, Fletcher Cox, you look at Brandon Graham, you look at guys like that it's like, what are you going to do in a year or two to really, solidify a replacement? We feel good about Jalen Carter. We feel good about Nolan Smith. So it's about time that they just go out there and they fight for a position. They fight for their spot, and I think it'll work out in the Eagles' favor. Now, he did talk about obviously kind of growing up in the system, growing up around the Philly area. He went to Temple. He knew the system. He knew the expectations, right? He talked about being on the other side of Broad Street now, where the Eagles' expectations is crazy, and it's life. Football is life. It's a football city, and he embraces it. It's hard to really explain how because it just felt like he said everything right. I really don't have anything negative to say. Maybe it's because there was a lack of answers. Like, we don't necessarily know what his idea is for this team, but it seems like it's going to be coming from the right place. So I don't know. I wanted to get this out there, and we'll talk about Brian Johnson before I get out of here. Brian Johnson did go and have his interview as well. Michael Clay did as well. With Michael Clay, I'll keep it really, really short. Michael Clay needs to get it together, and I think that he understood that, and I think that he took accountability for that in that interview and in that press conference, I think that he understands it. I think that this is the year that he's going to have to really get it together. He did speak about the infusion of youth and the infusion of talent and guys that he's going to be able to utilize this offseason, to kind of see if he can round out this special teams unit and make it better than it was last year. He talked about the punt in the Super Bowl, and he took accountability for it. He said it was on him. He said, the guys have to figure out a way of getting Kadarius Toney down in that situation. It's a stinky situation, but at least he's kind of taking accountability. That's the biggest thing that I was looking at, is that he's at least taking some accountability for it. Brian Johnson, look, there wasn't much that he had to say. Brian Johnson literally didn't have much he had to say in this press conference. The familiarity is something that they kind of harped on a lot, and obviously having that connection with Jalen Hurts, having the connection with the wide receivers, he was an obvious choice, and I think that it's going to be exciting to see what he does as a play caller, but I wouldn't say that there was much news out of it. I'll watch it back again. I was just kind of so excited about Sean Desai. He just seems like an Eagle. He seems like a guy that the Eagles fans are going to be talking about 10 years from now. That could totally be a foot in the mouth situation. I just, you know what I'm saying, and that could blow up in my face, but I like the guy. I really do like the guy, and I'm excited for what this Eagles defense is going to be. And lastly, I'll leave you guys with this. He was asked about last year. He was asked about the defense and the sack total, damn near historic sack total that the Eagles had. And he said that while giving credence to that, while giving the respect to that and understanding that happened and not taking that away, he knows that it's a different year. He knows that every year it's going to be different. He has to come with something different. So I don't think that it's going to be necessarily the same thing. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what this guy does with this defense. You guys let me know what you're thinking in the comments. What did you get from these press conferences, if you've seen them? And if not, what did you get from, what I told you about the press conference? Other than that, y'all know what it is, though. It's Fly Eagles Fly. We are out here. Peace!
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season hit, early time to do him in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.